Welcome back, everyone, to Talk Show, where the news keeps happening even though no one consented to it. Let's get into it. Measles cases in the U.S. have just hit an insane high of 1,912 cases as of Tuesday, December 9th. It's impressive that measles are on the rise, and I wouldn't be surprised if polio started making a comeback too. I am 1,000% investing in the first iron lung company I see. Measles, of course, was once handled. Let's remind everyone, thanks to science, thanks to vaccines, and a brief period where adults believed doctors over Facebook comments. We literally scienced this all out once already, okay? But somehow, we've been convinced that disease-killing, life-saving, clinically proven treatment is a big bad evil. And we've been convinced by this guy, no less. Yeah, remember this? This face? RFK's face is like draped in thin hot dogs. It's literally like one drunk night at the AI-powered human factory. The computers dared each other. They're like, I bet you can't make a guy that, as he ages, looks more like an ancient weathered sandbar. Oh yeah, hold my sparkling electrolytes. Hearing about measles is just like so frustrating because this is why Victorian-era children didn't make it past infancy, okay? This is a huge contributing factor to why life expectancy used to be in the 30s. Ridiculous. In our second story, racism in the military, speedrun edition, a veteran's wife and her partner found themselves targeted by a racist within the military. I believe it was the Air Force. Because apparently when people hear chain of command, they think protected racism ladder. So instead of quietly enduring it, this couple did something incredibly un-American. They reported him straight up the chain, properly, with receipts. And the result? Consequences. Real ones. Career-altering consequences, which is always shocking to watch unfold, kind of like seeing a unicorn or a landlord returning a security deposit. This is kind of crazy. It's sort of a rare feel-good story where the system mostly worked, and that's because somebody forced it to, loudly, in public, on the internet, which currently is America's most reliable accountability mechanism. Who expected that? Maybe the only remaining accountability mechanism. But who knows for how much longer? Vote like your lives depend on it, folks. I've said it once, I've said it before, I will keep saying it. This could even be your last chance based on some of the stuff that's coming out. In our third story for today, Epstein files continue to be released. Wait, what do you mean there's new Epstein files? I thought I said this case was closed. I want to give a huge shout out to Conscious Quarter 423, who has been copy and pasting Kash Patel's crazy eyes on Sleepy Trump. Thank you so much for brightening everyone's day with those images. Keep them coming. But as I was saying, more Epstein files have been released, and they are exactly as horrifying as you might have suspected, probably more so depending on your tolerance for soul-rending damage. Special mention goes to Bathtub Epstein, which is not a sentence anyone should have to process, let alone add to the permanent archive of human knowledge. At this point, like, every Epstein document release feels less like a revelation and more just a reminder that rich men continually treat morality as like an optional software upgrade. It's almost like Microsoft saying, hey, upgrade to Windows 11. Shut up, Microsoft. I will jailbreak this every night and day until you silence this announcement. And yet, no one important is surprised. No one important seems to be held accountable or even meaningfully inconvenienced about this stuff. It's truly like the most consistent storyline in American history, Guardians of the Pedophiles. I'm getting sick of it. Moving right along, in world news across the world, folks, the Middle East, unfortunately, deals with more ceasefire talks, but now with extra skepticism. So another week, we've got another round of ceasefire talks in the Middle East, again announced with solemn faces, cautious language, because this time, that's right, this particular time, it's going to be different. Don't worry about that last slip. No. Don't, or the one before that. Only pay attention to what we do moving forward post this new ceasefire talk. That's right. Diplomats keep talking about progress, but in international relations, progress means no ordnance exploded during the meeting. Meanwhile, civilians are just continually stuck in this loop where hope is like just dangled long enough to make the disappointment sting even more. Imagine constantly being told that your flight is boarding soon while you've been sitting on the airport floor for 18 hours. However, the airport is a live firing range. To brighten the mood a little bit, let's talk about Bulgaria. Bulgaria is free. Huge deal in Bulgaria. On December 10th, the Bulgarian government officially resigned after mass protests. That's right, citizens flooding the street, all to say in unison, excuse me, fewer lies and more functioning governance, please. Shockingly, it worked. Leaders stepped down, power vacated, democracy did like a quick little push-up, and then immediately went right back to laying down. But democracy did like a nice little push-up there. Great. Somewhere else in the world, dozens of heads of state saw this and thought to themselves, I should probably ban large gatherings for safety reasons. America, one of those places. Pay attention, folks. That, I think, is potentially a good segue to our main story tonight. Unfortunately, it's not just America where we're seeing the far-right parties continuing to win. Somehow. How is America right now not a tremendous, huge, blaring example to the rest of the world of why you don't let the fascists take over? We're literally the poster child for don't fuck up democracy. So here's the main story. Across Europe, far-right political parties continue to gain ground in polls, local elections, and it's all fueled by similar stuff, if you can believe it. Economic anxiety, immigration panic, and that timeless political strategy of yelling, "It used to be better," without specifying when or for whom. And right in front of Bulgaria, right after they just showed you all how to do it, you had to go let Bulgaria down. These movements promise things like order, tradition, tradition's a scary word, national pride, that also can be perverted very easily. These things all historically translate to fewer rights, more uniforms, and a sudden obsession with whose grandparents came from where. Voters, exhausted, angry, we're all tired of this shit. However, we seem to be rolling the dice on authoritarian nostalgia. I guess when the future feels bleak, the past with worse human rights somehow looks comforting. I don't understand it. Here's a sort of quick snapshot of which far-right parties have most recently made notable electoral gains or are potentially poised to win power. This is across the globe. Here's some context so bleak you'll want to stare straight into the void. Here we go. Chile's December 2025 presidential runoff. So far, far-right candidate Jose Antonio Cast, I'm probably saying that wrong, but of their equivalent Republican Party, is leading polls and likely to become the country's most right-wing president since the Pinochet dictatorship. Okay? That's bad. His platform emphasizes super hardline immigration policies and security rhetoric, which is a dramatic shift from what Chile had been doing for years since they kicked Pinochet out. Not great. That's bad. Then, in Germany, of all places, the far-right Alternative for Germany Party, the AfD, you'll hear about this, right? That's definitely a place where Elon Musk likes to visit. AfD has surged in influence, winning almost 21% of the vote in the 2025 federal election. So that's making it the second largest party behind the conservatives and a major political force. Okay, so in some regional polls, AfD has even topped mainstream parties. Okay, that's a first time since World War II that Germany has seen far-right take over so much power. What happened last time? I think we all remember. Is this starting to get scary? It's happening everywhere, all at the same time, somehow. Everybody wake up. Everybody focus. It's up to us. We have to vote like our lives depend on it. Vote like your lives depend on it. In Portugal. Número 3. Portugal's 2025 legislative election, the far-right Chega party, I'm probably butchering that, sorry everyone, but the far-right Chega party has captured almost 23% of seats, rising to become the main opposition party, its largest ever showing, marking a significant far-right breakthrough. Even though they didn't win the election outright, they still have built greater momentum. Kind of scary. And last but not least, here's one that totally caught me off guard. In the Czech Republic, the populist billionaire Andrej Babiš returned as prime minister after the October 25 parliamentary elections, leading a coalition that includes far-right, hard-right partners, shifting Czech policy on migration and European Union relations. Again, not quite an outright far-right win, but it's again a sort of a pivot towards that nationalist-leaning governance. The real concern for me is that the broader trend here is beyond individual elections, not in just one spot here or there or whatever. Far-right and right-wing populist parties are gaining ground across Europe. That influences things like coalition talks. It influences things like public policy. Even when you're not winning the outright national majority, you're capturing more market share. Polls in major European Union states like the UK, like France, Germany again, are showing that far-right groups are leading or close to leading, depending on voter concerns about immigration and identity politics. So, in short, the far right isn't dominating the globe just yet, but it is certainly clawing its way into influence. From Chile's presidential outcome to parliamentary power in Germany and Portugal, to the coalition influence in the Czech Republic, some places are seeing pushback, others are seeing entrenched momentum. And we should all be concerned. So pay attention. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you in a few days for the next episode of This Week So Far.